How do I follow that? Boy, that is so moving to me. I mean, on that Christmas Eve, when I wrote those words as they were coming to me like I was taking dictation, I put the needle on the record, the Ferrani Teicher piano version, and because I'd been told there would be no lyrics. And my wife Shirley was saying, Pat, please quit playing that record. Let's get the presents under the tree so we can go to bed. One more time, honey, just one more time. Boom, 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 boom. The words, this land is mine, came. This land is mine. And I realized it was a personal declaration. It was not trying to encompass 3,000 or 4,000 years of Jewish history, but the claim of one Jew, this land is mine. And then take my hand. I was familiar with the Sabra, fighting right alongside with her man. And when we are together, I can be strong. And if I have to fight, I'll fight to make this land our home. And it just kept coming until I die. Till I die, not we, I die. This land is mine. And all of the three who had the veto power over the lyric said, oh, yes, these are the words. Even Otto Preminger, yes, these are the words. He, German. And it was a thrill to me, but then to record it as well, and then to hear other great singers sing it better than I can. But I'll never forget my first Passover Seder in Jerusalem, and I think it was the Diplomat Hotel. And my family, my wife, my kids, and there were 800 pilgrimage Jews from all over the world, and I was identifying with them next year in Jerusalem. And I knew that for many, this was that time. The rabbi officiating was from New Jersey, and one person here tonight too. But then the cantor was, of course, Israeli, and he was singing in Hebrew. And the word came while we had our open Bibles, and we were looking up the things that were the basis for all that was happening in the Seder, and enjoying it and being thrilled by it. And a message came, the Haggadah. Haggadah, is that the best way to say it? Haggadah, I got it. Came and said it's meant to be a living thing, and we would like to write a new chapter tonight. Would you be willing to come up and sing it for these 800 Jews from all over the world? Well, I had no music, but I couldn't say no. And I turned to the 133rd Psalm, and I went up and I read how blessed it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Brethren, Christian Jew brethren. I knew already that everything I believed as a Christian came whole cloth out of historic Judaism, and that what I believed was just a continuation of all that we read in the Torah and all the parts of what we now call the Old Testament, some of us, but it's all the same thing. The new and old are all written by Jews, about Jews, for Jews, about a little nation called Israel, from whom would come a Savior for the world, a Jew. I knew all of this, so I began to sing, this land is mine, God gave this land to me. And as I sang it that night, something happened, and I felt something like it was being sung through me. I get to the middle part, still singing alone, and I'm on the part, so take my hand and walk, and another voice joined me. And I looked back, it was the cantor. And he was singing my words in English with me. And we sang together, until I die, this land is mine. Well, 800,000 Jews, 800 Jews were weeping, and my wife and family were weeping. It was an incredible, historic moment for us, at least. And I've had many more experiences like that, and I think it was mentioned that at the end of the Yom Kippur War, I was asked, what, 73, wasn't that the 73 Yom Kippur? And I was asked, I happened to be in Israel, so they said, will you go up and just visit the troops below Mount Hermon at a northernmost outpost. It is in occupied Syria. I said, okay, I'll do it. I had no music, but I could at least visit. So I did, and there's a picture of me with a helmet and a flak jacket, and I'm in the bunker. And I say to the commander of that outpost, I have a theory, it's just my theory, but I read the Bible every year, straight through from beginning to end, every year, and this is now my 40th year to do that. And I know that what God intends for Israel, that Israel is coming back, is going to be restored, is going to be bigger and better than ever, and it will never, Jews will never be expelled from this land again. I knew that. Never. And I said, I have a feeling that God is restoring the actual land territory of the time of David to Israel now, because every time Israel is attacked, its borders enlarge. And the commander said, well, I hope you're wrong. Really? Because it means more fighting, perhaps more bloodshed, and we would even give up some land for peace. Well, that was tried, and it didn't work. But that night, I just dropped the subject. The soldiers said, sing something for us. I said, well, I don't have any music. Which ones of my songs do you know? And like a chorus, they said, Speedy Gonzales, sing Speedy Gonzales. That had been Prime Minister Netanyahu's favorite song when he was at MIT in this country. But so I sang with no music, you better come home, Speedy Gonzales, away from Tannery Row. That doesn't mean anything to you, but it was a million-seller worldwide hit, but I had no music. And I thought, well, this is silly, singing Speedy Gonzales up here in the bunker below Mount Hermon in occupied Syrian territory. So I said, let me sing something else, maybe more appropriate. So then I began to sing, this land is mine, God gave this land to me, without any music, and I sang it all the way through. And it was a very sobering, wonderful moment, and another shell landed not far away, and the ground shook, and I left. Well, it was several months later, I was again in Israel, and I was with Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, who was another friend of mine. And I was in his office, and I told him about that night below Mount Hermon. He said, where were you? I said, just below Mount Hermon, in occupied Syrian territory. He said, just a moment. He went to the map, he put his finger up there, he said, you sang a prophecy. I did. Where you sang that evening in the bunker is now part of the new map of Israel. I sang a prophecy with that song. I all my life, since I was a young boy in Nashville, my dad a building contractor, mom a registered nurse, practical professions, but it was a very practical part of our lives, not only to be in church, but to read the Bible. And we weren't super religious fanatics or anything like that, but this was a practical part of our lives. And I knew that we were living our lives been given to us by God, and I knew too that most of what I was reading was about Jews. Moses, Abraham, David, Gideon, everybody, all Jews. And so I began to identify with all these heroes, famous people, and I obviously remembered what God said to Abraham. From your nation, I will make of you a great nation, and from your descendants, all the nations of the world will be blessed. What a statement. All the little tiny guy living in a tent, and God says, I'm going to give you descendants, Isaac, Jacob, on, and you're going to bless the whole world. And I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. Those words were stamped into my soul. I wanted to be on the blessing side of God. And I learned as I kept reading this thing called anti-Semitism. People, how can it be? It's so unreasonable. It's so irrational. Yes, it is. And it comes from this, I think, that's my opinion. We got some rabbis here, they can nod yes or no. But when Abraham was told that, I will bless those who bless you, and I'll make of you a chosen people. When he chose the Jews, the descendants of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, he had an enemy named Satan, who is just as real as God. If you believe the Bible, you know that God has an adversary, the accuser, Satan. And anti-Semitism, he put a target on the back of God's chosen people. Irrational, yes. Ridiculous, yes. Imbecilic, yes. No reason for it, no. But it is satanic. And we're fighting, when we fight for Israel, we're fighting for God. We're fighting with God against demonic powers. They make no sense. They're irrational. They're false. So how in the world do you fight that? You fight it by believing in God and then prevailing and calling on Him to perform what only He can do, which is to turn things around as He's done many, many times for Israel. He blesses Israel. He's going to continue to bless Israel. And if God has His way, and God generally gets His way, before it's all over, the world is going to be Jewish. The whole world is going to be Jewish. And guess what? I'm going to be there. Thank you so much for this. Thank you so much. Thank you.